2022. Gosh, it is so weird to say that we are almost in the year 2022, and it is almost Christmas time, and that is just crazy to me. But hopefully you are starting to think about your plan for next year. Obviously, you kind of are if you're here, and it's going to be here before you know it. So today we're going to do a few things, and I want to make this as engaging as possible. And so it's a lot more fun if you guys engage, and if you guys talk a little bit, answer questions and all that good stuff. And so let's kind of pretend you don't want to sound, I don't want to sound like a teacher, but you'll get as much out of this as you put into it. We're going to do some exercises. It's going to have you really think through some numbers and put some things on paper and think out and make some goals, make some plans. We're going to talk about some strategies and give you some of that nerd talk, a little bit of that nerd talk, and those SEO things and ads things. But if you're anything like me, you get going and things are crazy and things are super busy, and you end up working kind of in your business, just trying to keep your head above water, and you don't really spend a whole lot of time working on your business. And so today, it's hopefully you can tune out and close out the Facebook tab on your computer, or close out whatever it is, QuickBooks, whatever it is you've got there in front of you that may be distracting you, and really just kind of be here with us and participate and think through this with us, because I want you to leave not having just heard me talk for a little while, but actually with some things. And we've got a workbook that you can go download. We'll drop the link. Alex will drop the link in chat there for us in a few minutes. And we've got a worksheet that's a spreadsheet that you guys could use to put down some numbers and really think through what it is that you want to accomplish in 2022. All right. And so let's see here. Can we go ahead, Alex? Can you drop that? Can you drop that workbook in the chat there for everybody? And you guys can go. Grab that. And so what we're going to cover today, like I said, we're going to set goals for 2022 and talk about how many leads or how many phone calls do you need to get to really hit your target? How many phone calls do you need to get? How many leads? And then we're going to hit 3 fundamentals of marketing success, which we'll explain in just a little bit. I want to talk for a few minutes about how to optimize your website for conversion in 2022 and beyond. There are things, and you guys, if you care about your website, I know a lot of you guys, I recognize a lot of your names, and I know you're engaged with your website, and you try to keep up with what's going on in website world. And maybe you've given up and you're like, okay, gosh, it just changes so flippin' much. I can't keep up with it. But we all agree that Google is constantly changing things, and they make probably about 300 changes to the algorithm every year. And so unless you're just buried in that all the time, it's hard to really know what's changing. And so, for instance, some of the things that they changed this past year, these core vitals, that they're really looking at how fast your website loads, and they want it loading on a phone in under a second. They want all the pictures and everything there. And so if you've got a really slow website and it's not loading, well, that is killing you online. And that is all tied together. You wonder why maybe you're not showing up in the maps. You're wondering why you're Googling yourself in the maps and you're like, man, I'm not showing up. Well, it could be because your website's super slow, and Google knows that. They don't want to be sending people over to a website that's moving really slow. And so we're going to talk about optimizing your website. We're also going to talk about the big picture of all the online marketing channels that you should be tapping into to maximize your lead flow online, because there's a lot of channels, and depending on your industry, or depending on your niche, depending on what you work in, what you do, there's some different channels that you need to be going after. Some of you may be eligible for Google local service ads, and you don't know it. You could use those to fill in the gaps. And I know some people doing that really effectively. They're turning on those local service ads when they need the phone to ring a little bit more, and then they're they're turning that off when things are where they need to be. Also going to talk about some of the latest trends that you need to focus on. And then when you leave here, we will have hopefully developed, if you put in the work, if you take some time and write some of this stuff down and really think through this, developed a custom action plan based on where you are now and what you need to do now. All right. So now, if you stay till the end, we do have a little bonus for you. We've got a checklist for you that we're going to give you a link to, and we're going to give you this what we call kind of the online domination blueprint, and it gives you a layout, kind of a blueprint of all of those channels that I just talked about that you really need to be thinking through and going after, and kind of what order and priority and how you can use those. So, question, and you can throw this in the chat. What is the hardest part about marketing your business online? Yeah, Ashley said the whole trying to stay afloat, keep your head above water resonates with her. So yeah, anybody else feeling like that, where it's just this marketing world is just feels like chaos? Maybe throw the word me in the chat if you're feeling like marketing is chaos and it's just hard to keep up and you don't really know what's going on. And then throw in the chat, what's the hardest part about marketing your business online? Yeah, time. Taking the time, putting time into it, because you guys are business owners and you've only got a certain amount of time. And if you're like anyone else, there's a really good chance that you're having trouble finding good help. I don't know if anybody else is struggling with that. But if you're having trouble finding good help and you're having to wear more hats than you had to wear a couple of years ago, and so now you've got multiple plates spinning and you're having to decide, how much time am I going to allot to marketing? How much time am I going to allot to returning phone calls? How much time am I going to allot to emails and meetings and actually doing the work? I get that. So I totally feel you there. I get in those spots where I just have call after call with client after client. We're talking about strategy, which we need to do, but then it's like, there's got to be a time, there has to be some time to actually do search engine optimization for my clients, or, you know, I could, you know, they're not going to be clients for very long if I don't do the work. But I've also got to have all these other meetings and stuff. So it's tough. So yeah, so we're seeing time in there a lot. I see a couple of measuring the return on the investment, tracking the return on the investment. So yeah, that's good. And that's where keeping these, and we're going to talk about those in just a little bit, the KPIs, the key performance indicators, and really how to know if this marketing money that we're spending, if it's actually paying off. And so, yeah, the hardest part about marketing online is developing a marketing plan that applies the strategy to reach the goals. That's from Trisha. Hey, Trisha. And Jason said the return on the investment. So we see the return on the investment and knowing that we're targeting the right people, the right demographics. And because, yeah, depending on your industry and where you are, you're going after a different group of people. And so your niche may be pretty specific, and there may be, you've got pockets of people that if you're a home service industry, you've got pockets of people that they're just going the thumbtack when they need something, you know, and there's other pockets of people that they just will not look at a Google ad. They just totally pass by Google ads. But on the other hand, I've got a lot of clients that are spending several $1,000s a month on Google ads, and it's, they're getting a huge return on that investment, even though, you know, I personally, and as someone who creates Google ads and manages Google ads, I'm just kind of psychologically, and I wonder if you guys are like this, but I kind of psychologically just kind of pass over the ads sometimes, and I go to the organic results more often than not. But I know that Google ads work for a lot of industries, and so that needs to be part of the mix. So real quick, before we get going, we did make you a nice little handy dandy workbook that you can write some notes in. You can go download the workbook. We've got the link there in the chat, and you can go download that workbook. And if you go there, if you're not familiar with it, it's a Google Doc, and I don't know how often you use Google Docs, but you can actually go in there. And when you open it, you actually won't be able to edit it. That's my copy, so it's kind of locked down. But if you go in and you can go to File and then make a copy. If you have a Google account, you'll have to have a Google account that you're logged in with to use this. So if you're like logged in with an AOL account or something, it may not work appropriately. But you can make a copy, and then you can take notes in there. And then also there's also a worksheet that we're going to give you in just a few minutes, and you can download that. Do the same thing. Just go in there and click make a copy, and you'll have a copy that you can edit, and you can plug your own numbers in there. So let's talk about why we're doing this real quick. Let's talk about just the why. I think it's kind of appropriate here. It's Giving Tuesday. If you didn't know it was Giving Tuesday, it's Giving Tuesday, which is kind of weird. They probably should move Giving Tuesday like to before Black Friday, before we all go broke on Black Friday on the 56-inch Vizios or whatever it is that you got up at 3 a.m. to save $20 on. Anybody go Black Friday shopping? Drop me a 1 in the chat if you went Black Friday shopping. I'm pretty sure I slept until 11 a.m. On Black Friday until my back started hurting. So it was really good. So not a Black Friday shopper, but anyway, it's good. I digress. It's Giving Tuesday, and sometimes it's good for me. I don't know about you guys, but I can get wrapped up in the day to day and just start thinking about bottom lines and thinking about bills getting paid and thinking. I have 5 kids. I don't know how many, what kind of family you're supporting, but I've got 5 kids and a wife that like to eat regularly and sleep indoors. And so there's a lot of stress that comes with that. And there's a lot of stuff about being a business owner or being in charge of marketing and carrying a lot of weight at whatever company that you're working at. That if I'm not careful, then I could just get in this rhythm of me. It's all about me, and I need to make more money, and I need to get more clients, and I need to grow and scale. And I listen to all these other guys, and their businesses are exploding, and I want to be like them. I want to be like that guy. I see social media, and I see all these. I see all my competitors, and I'm sure you guys don't look at your competitors on social media. I'm probably the only one that does this. But you see them growing. You see all this cool stuff going on. Of course, it's the polished version of their life. It's the highlights of reel of their life, and I just get self-consumed. I can kind of turn into a big old me monster a lot of times. And so this is personal for everybody, but I know that we're not going to work every day just to become a bigger me monster. I think one of the reasons that we want to grow our business, and one of the reasons I want to grow my business, and part of my why that I have a business and that I work every day is of course I'm taking care of my family, and of course I love what I do, and I want to be contribute to the economy, but I also want to be a generous person. I also want to get outside of myself and I want to expose my kids to people who don't have as much in situations that aren't as fortunate as we are. And I don't think that I was designed just to keep all this money to myself and have a more comfortable life. But so, part of our why is I want to make an impact on the community around me, and I want to do something that matters. And so hopefully that's part of your why. I don't mean to be preach or anything like that, but just a friendly reminder that today is Giving Tuesday, and maybe just reflect for a minute on your why and why you're in this. But we are also in this to make money, to support our family, to support the families of the people that work for us. And there are a ton of options, and it's kind of unclear where to spend our budget. There are so many places that you could spend your marketing budget. And for a lot of us, your marketing budget is pretty limited. And so it can just be frustrating, almost to the point where it's like, I'm just not going to spend anything. I just forget it. We'll just we'll just rely on referrals. But we all know that referrals can only really get you so far. Eventually, those referrals run out. Or if you really want to grow and scale, referrals just aren't going to be enough. And so you start to look at this, and this is kind of the digital domination method that we've talked about. But if you look at your business, we start talking about SEO, so search engine optimization. We start talking about pay-per-click ads, social media ads, organic social media, your website. Then you can get down into the nitty-gritty. If you're a home service, you've got things like Home Advisors and elocal.com. There are gift cards and news. Do I put an ad in the newspaper? Do I put an ad in the community magazine? All this stuff. There's Google AdWords. There's Bing ads. And it almost feels endless. And so you guys are making, a lot of you are making a major investment in marketing, and you're spending a good bit of money. Some of you are my clients, and you're spending a good bit of money with us, and you're trusting us not to just take your money and have nothing to show for it. And that's what, as an agency, we're month to month, because we know if we don't perform, then you can fire us, and we don't want that. Like I said, I have 5 children, and so I need you to keep me around, and so I want to get my clients results. But I talk to, gosh, it's probably 1 or 2 business owners every week that they have hired an advertising agency, or they've tried some stuff on their own, and they've just kind of dipped their toes in the water and piddled with marketing, played around with Facebook ads, played around with some Google ads, and their 22-year-old nephew did some SEO for them, and they don't know if they got any results or not. There's no tracking, there's no KPIs. They don't know and they're just kind of throwing money against the wall and seeing what sticks. And if we don't have a clear plan, then you can end up overspending. And I see a lot of people overspending on their marketing, especially see a lot of people overspending on Facebook ads and Google ads. And a lot of times we're able to come in and if you can do this yourself. And this is not some big sales pitch, but a lot of times, if you can educate yourself on Google ads and Facebook ads and how they really work, then you can get the same results that you're getting for $1,000. A lot of times you can get those same results on Facebook for $500. If you're spending $3,000 a month on Google ads, and you don't really know what you're doing, you're just kind of hoping that it works and wishing for the best. A lot of times, if you'll educate yourself and make some optimizations, or a lot of times when we come in and we start cleaning things up, we find that you can get the same amount of results for $2,000 that with some work that you were getting for $3,000 without any work, without knowing what you're doing. And so a lot of times we overspend. Sometimes, well, I would say, gosh, this happens pretty regularly. When someone comes, if they've already got some ads going, or they're can't figure out why, whatever it is, whatever marketing they're doing is, they ask them how much they've got budgeted for their marketing. And, they're just underspending, and there's just only so much you can do with that, so it may be that you need to up your marketing budget. And so, of course, the marketing agency owner would say, yes, you need to spend more with the marketing agency, but that's not what I'm saying. I just know that a lot of people are underspending, whether it's print advertising, or it's on ads, or it's on organic, search engine optimization. There's a lot of underspending. And then, of course, it's underperforming. And so that is the worst. And that's not what we want. So here's the opportunity. And I'm going to take a little sip of my Sprite Zero because I'm cutting back on caffeine. Anybody else trying to cut back on caffeine? Give me a 1 in the chat if you are actually drinking caffeine right now. If you've got caffeine in your hand right now, because you need caffeine to help yourself stay awake while I'm talking. Just so I know that you're with me. So I know that we're all still here. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to work on this clear plan with some goals and some targets and some KPIs. And we're going to talk about generating enough leads to hit your targets. We want to hit these targets, and it's important that we we set some targets, and that those targets of revenue and how many new clients we want, how many new customers we want, how many jobs we need to get this month, this quarter, this year. We know that we're going to have to get a certain amount of leads to hit those numbers. And so then we're also, again, we're going to hit this, how to have a great return on your investment with tracking it. So we want to maximize that lead flow. We want to hit the sales goals. So number one, let's go to set your goals. What are your goals for 2022? Have you thought about those yet? Has anybody got, Tori, you have caffeine in your hand right now. So what are your sales goals for 2022? Here's a quote that I like. Success is goals. All else is just commentary, by a guy named Brian Tracy. So success, if we're going to have some success, there's got to be some goals. And I don't know about you, but a lot of times it's just easy to get into the chaos of work and running the business, trying to grow, but without any clear goals. And so this, I mean, if you've ever been to any kind of webinar or ever heard any kind of business coach, it's not like you've never heard anyone say you need to set goals. So I'm not giving you anything revolutionary here, but I think what's beneficial is that you stop for a minute right now and let's take like 2 minutes and think about, what are my goals for 2022? And I would love for you to throw some in chat. So just if you've downloaded the workbook, or if you're taking notes on a sheet of paper, some of you guys are paper people. I know, some of my friends or some people I know are on here. Some of my clients are on here. I know you're paper people. I think I saw Jenny on here earlier, and I know she's taking notes on her little pad of paper. And so I keep one here too. So so Tricia, she's trying to increase, Jenny Elo, increase newsletter subscribers. Okay, good stuff. Which brings up a point that a lot of people have forsaken email. They have forsaken email newsletters and thinking that social media is where it's at, and that email's kind of obsolete. And so we've kind of dropped the ball on email, but I think getting an e-newsletter going and really building that list is valuable. And a good email list is really super valuable. So with some clear goals, it's kind of like wind in your sails. If we don't have any clear goals, then we're just going to kind of get thrown around, and sometimes there's going to be a gust of wind. Some of you guys, I know my clients who are my HVAC clients, my home service clients. A lot of guys are seasonal, and so there's going to be those gusts of winds that come in different seasons. But then there's some down seasons and where you've just got to create the wind yourself. And I want to steer my own ship, and part of that's just my insecurity. But if there's some clear goals that we're working towards, then that's going to equal some wind in our sails. Harvard did a study back in 1979, and they interviewed some of their graduates. And of this group of graduates, in this study, they asked them, what are your specific goals for your life? And 84% of these graduates from Harvard, which is kind of shocking, these Harvard grads hadn't really thought about goals for their life, but 84% of them responded that they had no specific goals. 13% responded that they had some goals. They knew they had thought about it, but they had not written them down. 3% of the graduates that they talked to in this study had written goals and had some plans to accomplish those goals. So the results, after they tracked these grads and the success, if you looked at the 13%, the 13% of the class that had goals, they were earning on average twice as much as the 84% who had no goals at all. But what was even more staggering is that the 3% who had clear written goals were earning on average 10 times as much as the other 97% put together. And so I don't think any of us would argue that clear written goals with some plans along the way to get to those goals are going to help us get there just by virtue of having those goals and having those in front of us. You can't see it, but right over here, I've got this big dry erase board, and I've got my goals. I've got annual goals, and I've got quarterly goals, And then I've got monthly goals that I want to hit. Sometimes I hit them, sometimes I don't hit them. But I've even got goals. I've even got a KPI tracking board that is tracking how many calls I have each week. I'm tracking how many calls. I want to get 12 calls a week, because out of those 12 calls, I'm going to send out about 7 or 8 proposals. And out of those 7 or 8 proposals, that's probably going to end up being a couple new clients. And so my goal is 6 new clients a month. So it's not just enough to have, hey, we want to do $1 million in business this year. We want to do $1 million in revenue. And that's the goal. Let's get there. Hoorah. Let's go. I've got to have, what's it going to take for me quarterly to get there? If I want this to be $1 million year, then I know that there's got to be $83,000 in revenue every month, that I've got to get to the point where I'm bringing in $83,000 a month in revenue if I'm going to hit $1 million for the year. And so if in some of maybe you are one of those seasonals where, 1 month is going to be that 125 month and 1 month is going to be at 60,000 month. But on average, I've got to hit that 83,000 if my goal for the year is going to be $1 million. And so what am I going to do? What am I going to do to get that 83,000 in revenue a month? How many new clients do I need? And to get that many clients, what's my close rate? So how many leads am I going to have to get that many clients to get to the 83,000? And how many leads, how many phone calls is it going to take, or how many views to my website, how many form fills, how many phone calls am I going to have to get for those to turn into hot leads that actually convert? And so we can kind of reverse engineer the math there. And you can see that it's not just enough to say, hey, I want to do $1 million this year. I've got to set some clear goals. So you need to have written goals and planned. You need to set a minimum goal, year, quarterly, monthly. And you've got to have a stopping point at the beginning of each new year and the end of the quarter to reflect. How did you do based on what you set for your goal, and what are you going to do moving forward? And so one of the things I wanted today to be is that time where you stop and reflect and take a snapshot of how you did this year. And maybe some of you guys know your financials. You've got your financials maybe available. And so you could write down in the workbook what was this year? How did this year go for you? How did things turn out? And did we hit the goals? Did you hit your quarterly goals for this? Well, are you on track to hit your quarterly goals for the fourth quarter? How did you do in the third quarter? How did you do? Today's the last day of November. And so did you hit your November goals for the month? So think about that for a second. Actually, I'm curious. And I just want us to think through that. Like I said, this is a lot better if you participate and you engage. All right. So what are your goals for 2022? We don't want to make them, we want goals, but we don't want them just to be arbitrary. We don't want to set goals we want realistic goals, but we also want to push ourselves a little bit. But to make some realistic goals for 2022, I think we need to know how we did in 2021. So again, you need to take some time, if you haven't already, and get those numbers down, at least how you've done the past few quarters, as far as your revenue targets, as far as how many phone calls you got. And some of this is hard to know. But let's look at the goals for 2022. Here's a few questions that we want to answer. What is your revenue target? What's your revenue target for the year for 2022? Is it $1 million? Is it $3 million? Is this going to be the first time we hit $1 million? Maybe you're a smaller business. It's just you, or you're recovering from COVID. You had a business that was highly impacted from COVID, and so we're just trying to get back to pre-COVID numbers where that was $500,000 a year or $250,000 a year, whatever that was. What is your revenue target for 2022? So go ahead and write that down somewhere. Go ahead and write that in the notebook. Go ahead and write that down on a scratch pad if you've got that. But what is your revenue target now? And you may need to adjust and change course throughout the year. But then simply, once you've got that number, let's go ahead and divide that. Go ahead and divide it by 12. How much is that monthly? What does our revenue need to be monthly? And so to hit that monthly goal, how many booked calls is that going to require? How many phone calls does it take you to get to that place with your revenue? To answer that question, though, you're going to have to know, like, what is your average transaction value, or what is your average ticket? What is your average sale? Or it may be if your subscription, maybe it's what's the average lifetime value of a customer? Maybe if your insurance is lifetime value. I was meeting with some clients that are financial advisors, and so we were talking about the lifetime value. If your home services, how many technicians is it going to take you to hit that goal? And you may need to think about that. You may need to add some trucks. If you're in the home service, it may be time to add some technicians, which I get is easier said than done. And so it may not be that you need to up your marketing for more jobs. You may need to up marketing to find some technicians and create an ad campaign that goes after hiring quality technicians, or taking some of that marketing budget or taking some budget from somewhere and giving some incentives and getting some high quality technicians. So how many leads is it going to take you to generate to hit your goal? And then what's your average conversion rate from a caller to a booked job? And you may or may not know that. And for some of you guys, that's pretty high. If you can get them on the phone, you can close the deal. For others of us, you get a lot of calls that are people just kind of kicking the tires. And so it's about 40 or 50% that turn into jobs. So just as an example, let's say if our revenue target's $1.5 million for this year, then I know that I need to hit $125,000 a month. And depending if my average transaction value is $405, then I know that because of my conversion rate, that's going to take me 308 calls. I'm going to have to get 308 calls and close the right percentage of those calls to hit that 125 monthly. So think about it. How many leads are you going to need to get to your average, to get to your target for the month? What's your average conversion rate from caller to booked call? Have you thought about that, or do you know those numbers? Some people can rattle off those numbers really quick. Some people, you may have never thought about that. So what's your average conversion rate from caller to a booked call? A booked service call, or a booked appointment, and this is different in every industry. And a lot of times I tend to speak in terms of maybe home services, just because I deal with a lot of home service companies. But what's your average conversion rate from it may be someone walking in the store to actually buying something? So how many people do you need to get in the door? How many people do you need to fill out the form on your website for you to contact and to sign up for your class or whatever it is that you're offering? And so then if we can divide our call target by our conversion rate, then we know how many calls that we've got to get. And so if my average conversion rate from caller to book calls is about 55%, and I divide my call target by my conversion rate, then I know, going back up here, if it's going to require 308 calls to hit my goal. So I'm going to need, because of my conversion rate of 55%, I'm going to need about 560 leads to come in every month to get to the number of hot, warm leads that I want, so that I can close those calls and get new clients to get to that revenue goal that I want to be at. So we created a worksheet, and because just talking through that can be a little weird. So there's a worksheet that is at the link we'll drop it in the chat there for you. And I'm just going to bring this over. Awesome. So we've already done the nerd stuff on here. Monthly revenue target. let's say it is $125,000 a month. We want to hit $125,000 a month so we can hit that $1.5 million a year. And let's say my average ticket is $500. Some of you guys, it's going to be less. Some of you guys, it's going to be a whole lot more. If you're a restoration company, you know, you get a water damage job, you're looking at $15,000. If you're an auto mechanic, you're somewhere more around this $500 number. If you're HVAC, somewhere around $500. And so if you're in insurance or if you're in retail, these average tickets can go a different way. So the question you've got to answer, or what we have here, let's change this. Let's just go, let's say we want to hit 200,000 monthly. And my average ticket value is 500. Let's say that my average ticket value is actually $1,200. Then that tells me that I'm going to need 167 sales or service calls to hit my monthly goal. And we got all fancy there and did the formula for you. So you can, what you need to do though, by the way, and I meant to mention this though, for this worksheet, you won't be able to edit this. So what you can do is go right here, go to File, and then make a copy and name it, you know, your company's 2022 marketing plan, and click OK. And then that's going to bring you up another document. That's going to bring you a new version of that you can actually go in and edit yourself and make your own. Okay. So I highly encourage you to do that and create your own. And so let's assume our average conversion rate from caller or lead to a booked job or a sale is 80%. And let's give ourselves some credit that we're pretty good at sales. We're pretty good on the phone. If 80%, if we're closing 80% of our calls, they're turning into jobs. And that tells me if I need 167 service calls, or I need 167 sales, or I need 167 new insurance policies written this month, then I'm going to need, at 80%, I'm going to need 208 leads, 208 good leads, warm leads, not just anybody off the street. I'm going to need 208 good, solid leads to hit that target. And so let's assume our average cost per generated lead, and that's going to come from how much you're spending on marketing altogether. And so if we're spending, if we're spending $1,000 a month in marketing and we're getting 10 leads, then that's costing us $100 per lead. But if I want 208 leads, if my goal is $200,000 a month and my average ticket value is $1,250, then I'm going to need that 167 service calls. And that's 80% of the 208 leads that I need to get. And so I've got to get 208 leads. And we know that our average cost per lead, based on the amount of leads that we have coming in and the marketing budget, so we divide the leads into the marketing budget, that tells us we're around $100 per lead. Then that means that I've got to spend $20,800 a month on marketing, which sounds pretty high, but that's right at 10%, just a little bit more than 10%. Okay. And there's some other sheets on here that you guys can work through that I would encourage you to look at. This is your marketing budget planner. We made this for you. You can you can go here through your projected revenue and then decide how much of the marketing budget that you're going to spend. Are you going to, some people are doing 15%. Some people are doing 10%. 8% is a rule of thumb for a typical marketing budget. 15% would be pretty aggressive. 3% would be pretty low. So somewhere in there, you need to decide that. But then we're going to figure out our total marketing budget, which gives us our monthly marketing budget. And then we decide how much are we going to put in online marketing. And we would encourage 70% go to your online Of course you would, Jono. I'm surprised you're not saying 100% should go to online marketing, but still think there's a lot of value to offline marketing. And then you want to do some marketing towards your repeat business, whether it's gift cards or coupons or whatever you do like that. So then you end up with your numbers over here. That means we're going to spend $84,000 online, $24,000 offline, and $12,000 to our repeat customers, offering them some incentives. And so down here, we've just got it all laid out here for you. and we kind of nerded out on this spreadsheet. And so hopefully you'll find that helpful. So we went through here. Also just kind of went through search engine optimization and Google ads. And so this is some recommended spending for that revenue target, what we would recommend spending on search engine optimization and Google ad, how much you would spend with Google or Bing, and then spend some money on retargeting. And when I say retargeting, I'm talking about someone has come to your website and now we've got another ad campaign that's all about chasing them around on the internet, right? You know what I'm talking about? That's the ads that you looked at a blue shirt on Amazon and now you're getting ads for blue shirts on Instagram and everywhere you go. And so that's what we're talking about retargeting. It's the mind reading ads, right? You can also come in here, and if you want to figure out your leads by source, we give some examples here, and I'll spare you all those details, but there's also some good stuff in here. Now this is specific. Some of this is specific to an HVAC company and a plumbing company, but there's a marketing calendar here for a plumbing company, an HVAC contractor. And so you could take this and you could adjust this if you're not in those industries. But with your PPC, in January, you're going to emphasize heating repair. And then, when you get to the spring, and summer, we're going to emphasize our Google ads on cooling repair. And you may do an email that's all about, we've got some titles for your email. We've got some social media ideas. We've got some ideas for your search engine optimization. So feel free to steal those. We've got some of the same things for electricians, if you're an electrician in here, but pretty much any industry, you could take this and use this as a grid and think through what it is you want to promote in January, if you're a seasonal business, what it is you want to promote in the spring and in the summer. And then you could think through some special offers. If you're a plumber, January, 10% off water heater installations, but this may be, if you're insurance agents, you probably have a hard time offering discounts, but you could give away a gift card. For all new policies, we're giving away a $15, $20 Amazon gift card. I don't know. But here's just some ideas to kind of help you prime the pump with some offers, because I'll tell you this. I see people doing Facebook ads and Google ads all the time, and they're wondering why they're not working. And we go and look at the ads and there's no offer attached to those ads. Now, I'm not talking about a boosted post that you're just trying to get some likes on, but I'm talking about if you're really trying to get a lead, if you're really trying to make a sell, then having an offer attached to those ads exponentially increases the effectiveness. So I highly encourage you to come up with an offer for every month of the year for your ads. I think that would be a tremendous help if you're running ads. And we've even got some laid out here, special offers for plumbing, special offers for HVAC. We've done a lot of work here for you and giving you a lot for free. So I would definitely download this worksheet here and rip some of this stuff off from us. You are welcome to do that. So hopefully you find that helpful. So what's your goal for 2022 and how many leads will you need to get there monthly? Hopefully by now, if you've been engaged and you're participating, that you've got some of those numbers figured out and you've come up with a goal for 2022 and you've thought through and you've done the math. You've maybe plugged it in on the worksheet there and you see, I need 15 solid leads a month to get me to my monthly goals so that I can hit my annual goal. So let's talk about the fundamentals here for just a second. When it comes to your internet marketing plan, we've got the message, we've got the market, and we've got the media. Okay, and so with the market, the first thing that you've got to determine is who is your market. Okay. And a lot of people would say, I'll sell to anybody. I'll sell to anybody with a problem. I'll fix anybody's problem. But as the old saying goes, when you try to sell to everyone, you're actually selling to no one. So get it out of your mind that everyone is a customer. Not everybody is your customer. I know that I'm not for everyone. So who is your ideal customer? And you need to think them through, think it through who that person is. And is it the coupon clipper? Is it the middle class suburbanite, or is it the high end multimillionaire? I was meeting with some financial advisors, and their target is their market is older people who are getting ready for retirement, who have a high net worth. And so that they've got a really specific market that they're going after. And you've got to find your market, and we'll call that our avatar. And so you've got to know who that is. And so then once you've defined the avatar and you know who your market is, you're then going to need to define your message and really hone in the message. And when you know exactly who your customer is, who that avatar is, then you can begin to craft the message to them. And if your customers feel like you're talking to them, and that was a conversation I had with a client this morning, because one of the things that I think is helpful is if you can focus on what sets you apart from your competitors. Whenever we take on a new client, that's one of the first questions we ask. Why should someone go with you as opposed to the guy down the street that does the exact same thing? And a lot of us, when you're pressed on that question, it's like, well, the quality of our work and our customer service, and we rattle those things off. But the thing is, everybody thinks that they've got great customer service. Everybody thinks that they do quality work. No one is like, well, our work's terrible, but we show up on time. So that's what's different about it. Everybody thinks that they're great. We get that. But you've got to think strategically through your avatar. What's their pain point? And what is it that sets you apart that they're looking for? Is it that you show up on time? I think, for a lot of home service businesses, showing up on time is huge. We're going to make an appointment and we're going to keep it. We're going to get there on time. And because what does everybody hate? It's that, well, I won't name the business, but, we'll be there sometime between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. So if you could just sit at your house and do nothing, we'll be there sometime between then. So if you could just take the day off work, and then they usually don't show up at all. And then it's the next day all over again. So everybody hates that. So maybe showing up on time, we are punctual. That is what sets you apart. You've got integrity. Integrity is a big deal to us, and we're not going to rip anyone off. And so we want to put that out there. We want to make sure that everyone knows that. The client that I was meeting with this morning, they had a great thing when we were talking about what sets them apart. In their world, they were talking about how a lot of their clients come to them after having been talked down to by the competition. And this is the wealth management industry. And these retirees who are approaching retirement, they've got $1 million, $2 million in the bank. They're coming from a wealth advisor who's just kind of been condescending to them and talking down to them. And so part of our marketing strategy for this client is, are you being heard? Are you being listened to? Is your financial advisor listening to you? Are they actually hearing what you're saying? And do they care about what you're concerned about? Because that's a big deal in that industry. So we define our message and we get specific and really just hammer that out there. Get that in the ads, get that in the social media posts, get that on the website. And then once you've got that avatar in place, once you've got the message in place, then you can figure out where and how you're going to deliver that media. Okay, so let's talk. Who is your ideal customer? And so maybe you can jot a few things down right now. Go ahead and take just 30 seconds and jot down who is your ideal customer. What are their goals? What are their values? How old are they generally? What gender are they generally? The electricians I work with, a lot of times they say it's the wives that call. Most of their business comes from the wives who are calling because the husband has been saying he's going to fix whatever it is for 6 months. And the wife is tired of seeing the ceiling fan that hasn't been installed yet, that her husband hasn't got around to. And so the wife calls the electrician. So it may be the suburban housewife that's tired of waiting on her husband. That may be your ideal customer. That may be the customer, your avatar there. What are their challenges? What are their pain points? The pain point is that their husband won't get it done. And then where are they going? Like, what's their source of information? Are they spending a lot of time on websites? Are they reading blogs? Are they following influencers on social media? Who are they? And then think through, what are their objections to your sale? What are their objections going to be when you get them on the phone? And think through that and anticipate that, and make sure that you're prepared for it. And in the workbook, you can take that. There's a copy of the avatar worksheet. You can print out as many copies of that as you need if you wanted to use that at a staff meeting or get your leadership team together. You can use that. Just consider those factors, those demographics, their pains and their frustrations, their fears, and they're afraid of being ripped off or overcharged, or they're afraid that you're going to come in their house and just destroy something. They're afraid that you're going to surprise them and there's going to be some kind of bait and switch maybe. But what are their goals? Their goals are that the damage is fixed. Their goal is that the issue is behind them. If you're a pest control company, their goal is that they can eat dinner and not see bugs crawling. They want to have a nice, clean home. They want to be able to spend more time with their family and not have to fix stuff themselves. What is it? They want some peace of mind. So what is it? And so if you can see Joe Jones through Joe Jones's eyes, then you can sell what Joe Jones buys. So we've just got to, again, stop working in our business, that keeping your head above water, and work, spend some time like you're doing right now. And you've stuck with me. And I really appreciate you guys sticking with me. I'm excited that you're here. But so again, we're crafting our message. What is your message? Why should someone, and this is in the workbook. This is in the workbook on page 9. If you're following with the workbook, why should somebody choose to do business with you versus the competition? Go ahead and write a few of those, 1, 2, 3 of those things down. And then what benefits do you offer that your target customer avatar will resonate with? Is it that you've got same day service? You've got emergency service, your 24-hour service? Is that part of your deal? That may set you apart from the competition. The on-time service may set you apart from the competition. Straightforward pricing, upfront pricing. We're going to tell you how much it is. We work with the carpet cleaning company, and their big thing that sets them apart is they're going to tell you before they even get there. They can tell you exactly how much it's going to cost, and they're not going to get there. And they promise their customers, we're not going to get there and sell you 14 other chemicals and this other service. And by the time you're there, it's like buying concert tickets that the $40 concert ticket is now $97 somehow because of fees and add-ons and whatever. Something else, why should someone choose to do business with you versus the competition? Maybe it's that you've got trusted technicians, you've got experienced technicians, or you have got the experience. You've been in the business for a long, long time. You understand the business inside and out. You understand insurance. You understand, your technicians are certified in whatever certification your industry requires. But make the case for the fast same day service. If you can pull off the 24-hour service with no overtime, go for that. Clean cut professional technicians. We'll leave your home cleaner than we found it. I appreciate that. We've had some guys in our house doing different things. And it was pretty impressive to me when guys came in. I think it was a pest control company, actually. The first thing they did, maybe every pest control company does this, but I hadn't always seen this, but they covered up their feet in the little booties that they look like surgical caps, but they put them over their shoes. And I'm like, oh, cool. They're not, my floor's dirty anyway. And I have 5 children and 2 dogs, and you really didn't need to do that. but I appreciate that you did that. We're going to leave your home cleaner than we found it. We've talked about what sets us apart. How are we going to make the case? Now we've got to make sure we've got to talk about the media. Oh, wait, let's go back to, let's see. Tricia said, better customer service, more accurate products, and better price points for the features. So yeah, you're going to get more for your money. You're going to get more for your money than the competition, and the products are going to be more accurate. They're going to be more precise. They're going to be closer to spec, and you're going to get we're going to meet your expectations. And so depending on your industry, if you're an industry where, and my industry's like this, there a ton of my clients they're skeptical of search engine optimization. We don't understand how it works. And we don't understand Google ads and algorithms, and not even sure how to spell algorithm. And so, you look at guys like me with a little bit of skepticism, like, what are you actually doing? And so I get that. And so, I want to build a relationship with my clients because there's a lot of trust involved with it. It's just like me taking my car to a mechanic because I don't know anything about cars. I can put gas in it and that's about it. I can fix nothing. And so I've got to find a mechanic I know that's not going to rip me off, because honestly, if he can figure out a way with duct tape to make it stop making the noise that it's making, then I'm just going to believe that $500 I paid for whatever new part, that I'm just going to trust that he did it. And so you may be an industry where a lot of people are used to getting ripped off. And so you're going to build some trust with them. Let's see. Jason said, I connect with you to understand your lifestyle's needs and wants rather than trying to sell you things that I want you to buy. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. So I'm going to find out, rather than starting with what I want you to buy, even rather than starting out with what's the most profitable product, because a lot of times, and I'm sure Jason would probably agree with this because the way he's talking there, that sometimes the things that they need, that the client really needs and the client really wants, is not the thing that's the most profitable product that you have to offer them. Am I right, Jason? Would you? Yeah, exactly. And so you've got to have some integrity, and you've got to have some restraint to go in there and not just right out of the gate start throwing your most profitable product at them, because that may not be what they need. And that is going to set you apart from the competition really quick. And people can figure that out. People know when you come in just going after the most profitable thing, that people know, and people don't like to be sold. And I hate being sold. I bought my truck off of Carvana because I did not want to go to a car lot. I don't like being sold, even though I sell people stuff. I don't like being sold myself, which is just, and that's probably everybody. But I know when I'm being sold. I feel like I can read people decently, and if I could trust you, then I'm probably going to buy from you. And people can tell, and you're going to bubble to the top. I tell my daughters this all the time. They're in high school, and I just remind them, look, you girls, if you will just have a work ethic and be nice to people, you are going to bubble to the top. You are going to get raises. You are going to climb the ladder at your job, because your generation, no offense if anybody else in here is close to that generation, but my daughter's generation, they do not have a strong work ethic. Hence why, and the generations, some of the generation surrounding their generation, hence why a lot of us are having trouble finding good workers. But when you find someone with a strong work ethic that's not a jerk, like, they bubble to the top. So I just tell my girls, like, people can see it. People see it when you're trustworthy. People see it when you're nice. People see it when you've got integrity. People see it when you actually care about them and you care about what you do, and you're not just trying to make a profit, but you're actually trying to do something for people, and you're a hard worker. You're going to be just fine. And so, yeah, telling people you want to connect with them and really understand what they actually need and solve their problem, man, that's going to go a long way. So that's good stuff, Jason. Appreciate you sharing. So now let's look at the media. Let's look at the media, and I appreciate you guys again sticking with us. Your website is the hub where everybody ends up, and so we need to make sure that your website is optimized to convert searchers into buyers. Okay. Again, I'm the online guy, so I'm thinking about online stuff. And you've got to ask yourself the question, is your website set up to convert visitors to callers? We've got one of our clients here. The first thing you see is going to be, schedule a roof analysis. And that's the big, huge call to action. Then you've got the option to call. And then we're focused on craftsmanship. We're talking about professional. We're using words like that. There's another, let's see, this one didn't make it in the slides, but if you look right here, we've got at Laney's, never an overtime charge. And so we've got some conversion messaging up in the top. Got the company mission here, never an overtime charge, legendary lifetime furnace guarantee, free second opinions. It's a clean, uncluttered design. The menu is pretty obvious right here. If you're looking for plumbing, heating, cooling, indoor, whatever you got going on, it's easy to go. We've got some personalization here. You've got the president of the company here, and then there's just this big button that says book now. So easy access to the content, to the contact form there. So you really need to think through your website. Quit looking at it as an art gallery, because we build a lot of websites every month. And a lot of times what business owners want is an art gallery and sort of a shrine to their business. And we imagine ourselves showing our new website at our industry trade show to all of our peers, to all of our competitors. And really what we're concerned with is our website being flashier and cooler than our competitors. But the problem is a lot of the flashy stuff, a lot of the cool stuff, a lot of the big stuff slows down the website, or may not be it may not be mobile friendly. And so you can't look at your website as this art gallery that's all about how wonderful your company is, but you've got to decide, is it set up to convert visitors to callers? Is it set up to convert people? Because most people, they're coming there, they want to see that you do what you do what they're looking for. How do I get in touch with you? And do you have some good ratings? Do you have some good 5-star reviews? They want to see some social proof and see that you actually you don't have a 1.2 ranking or rating on Google. And so can conversion optimization really have an impact? Okay, so can optimizing your website to convert people from just visiting your website to an actual caller, can it have an impact? So you've got to think through, and let's go back to the messaging. Does it speak to your target avatar? Does it address their fears? Is it easy to navigate? Does it have authentic images of your team on the homepage? Looking at this one again, we got a picture of the owner here. So we got real team photos. We've got large contact information. Something that we would add to this would be, call or text. Your millennials are buying homes, and so a lot of people want to just be able to text. We've got some social proof up here. We've got our reviews. Excuse me. We've got our reviews up here. Clear navigation. And so is it showcasing your reviews? Is it making it easy for people to take action? That is a huge deal. You got to get the basics in order. You got to get that phone number in the right-hand corner. Make sure, because that's where people are looking. I want to grab my phone number. If I'm going to call you or if I'm going to text you, I want to make sure that there is a form that people can fill out, because some people, they don't have time to talk to you right now, but they want to get it off their plate. And so they go ahead and fill out the form and assume you're going to get back with them later. And then they, you can add some credibility with the authority symbols, like Better Business Bureau, Angie's List, whatever badges that you've won. Whatever, if you've won, like with the attorneys, AVO, AVVO, that's a huge place for lawyers to get reviews. And so get your AVO badge. on there? Are there calls to action on each page to speak to your customer avatar? And are you giving them the opportunity to engage via chat? That's another thing that not only do we not see a lot of people offering texting on their website, but do you have the chat widget? And in fact, if there's with Facebook, you can embed a Facebook chat widget on your website for free, or you can have your website guy do it, and people can chat with you, and it'll go directly into your business Facebook page messenger. And so if you've got the app on your phone, then those are always coming to you. But then you can get more complicated, more complex systems that just as long as someone's monitoring those, somebody's got to be watching those. The whole point of chat is not so that they'll get a response in an hour. That's no better than email. But leverage the automation and leverage the SMS texting, leverage the on-page chat features to get people, because people are impatient. And if you don't respond pretty quick, if you don't respond within a few minutes, then they've bounced to someone else. So you may want to pull your website up right now. You may want to pull your website. If you've got two monitors, pull your website up on the other monitor and just take a look at it. Is it built to convert? Is your phone number obvious? Is there something relational about it? Have you got real team photos on the page, or is it just full of stock photography, or is it just and maybe a picture of your location is okay, but people want to see people. Maybe some pictures of your work trucks are okay, but again, people want to see people. What is it that you need to tweak? Do you need to add SMS texting, to add a chat widget to your website there? So here's one of the biggest marketing challenges facing your business. It's unconverted leads. Okay, so going back to the website, going back to that responding really quick, 50 to 60% of inbound leads are leaving unconverted. So it's not necessarily, some of our problem is not necessarily that we don't have people coming to our website and that it's not necessarily that they're not interested. A lot of the problem is that they're leaving unconverted. They send the text and it doesn't get responded to. They fill out the form, but whoever in your office is responsible for responding to the form, they're also responsible for fielding the phone calls and doing this paperwork and sales. And they've got 14 different things going on. And so the web form sometimes, a lot of times, perhaps 90% of the time, gets pushed to the back burner. And so those aren't getting followed up on. And by the time you do get to them a few hours later, not because you're lazy, but because you've got other stuff going on, then that inbound lead has already gone to someone else. They've already found another company that was on top of it. And so it may not be that you can hire someone else, but it could be that you could automate this using different platforms that will automate responses. Just like when you signed up for this webinar, you got some automated responses from me, reminding you and sending you the links, and those were all automated. And so I'm not having to go in there and send you text reminders individually. Hey, don't forget about the webinar. But you can do the exact same thing with following up with people who are interested in a policy, or interested in a class that you offer, interested in a service plan that you offer, whatever it is that your industry, whatever it is that you are selling. So here's why. These leads that are not followed up within 15 minutes, they go cold. And so they really need to be followed up with 5 to 7 times before they book. A lot of times people are they need several phone calls before they're going to do anything with you. And today's consumer, a lot of today's consumers prefer to interact via text message versus phone call or email. If you've been in a workshop with me before, you've heard me say that if there are two companies up against each other and all things considered equal, they both got great reviews and they both got good websites and they both look professional and they've got everything's good, all things considered equal. One of them offers texting, one of them you have to actually make a phone call. My wife and a lot of people, they're going with the one they can text because they just don't want to get on a phone call. They want to send a text, they want to find out, can you do what I need you to do? When can you be here? How much is it? Boom, we're done. And it's over. We don't have to get on the phone and be all awkward, whatever. But she's anti-phone call. And she's not the only one. I hear that. I know that all the time. And so if you don't have texting on your website, that may be the thing that if you don't do anything else out of today's webinar, maybe it's adding text to your website, and you're going to see those leads that, again, it's maybe not that you're not getting enough leads. It's that those leads are not being followed up on fast enough and enough times, and they're going to someone else. So the solution is you leverage your marketing automation to follow up with these web forms within the first 2 minutes of submission via phone, email, and text message. And there are different platforms. We have one that we set up for our clients, but there are plenty of CRMs out there that offer automation. And a lot of times what I find is our clients are paying for they're paying for multiple client relationship management software platforms that have automation built in that they're paying for. They just didn't know about it. They're not using it to its full potential. And so there's a really good chance that some of you, if you've got a CRM that you're using, there's a really good chance that you're already paying for SMS texting and some automation, or at least your CRM offers it, and it may be a $15 a month upgrade or something like that. If you don't have something you're interested in talking about it, of course, we have one that we customize. It's called Client Follow-Up Engine, and a lot of you guys on here are actually using that. We don't charge a ton for that, but this isn't a sales pitch. I just want to encourage you, get something that's automated, because if you're like every other small business, you don't have time. You don't have someone that's just dedicated, sitting there on go, ready to follow up with every lead that comes in within 2 minutes. So that automation can help you touch the prospects, 5 times and engage with them via text messaging. All right. So let's just look at this real quick. It's simple math. You've got 100 leads and your conversion rate's 30%, and there's no follow-up. Your conversion rate with no follow-up is 30%. Then you get 30 jobs booked, and 30% of that 100 is 30 booked jobs. Let's say your average ticket is $300. Well, that makes you about $9,000. Now, if you take those same 100 leads, we're not spending any more on advertising. We're not doing any more Google ads or Facebook ads. We're not hiring an SEO guy. All we're doing is automating our follow-up with the leads that we're already getting. We're adding some automation. We're doing a better job. We're following up with them multiple times. Now we've increased our conversion rate by 40% up to 70%. We're getting 70 booked jobs. And so now at $300, we've taken our revenue up to $21,000 out of those same 100 leads. And so we see this happen all the time, where it's not an increase in leads that you need. A lot of you are already getting the leads. It's the follow-up, it's the automation, it's the touch, it's the engaging with those leads quickly and getting them on board. So automation makes every lead you generate that much more valuable. So we can implement that in your business. So what 3 conversion elements are you going to implement on your website? Now, I want to take a minute. I want you to write this down. What 3 conversion elements will you implement on your website? Do you need to add a welcome video from the owner of your company? And maybe that's what you need to add. Is it the Facebook chat option? Is that what you need to implement on your website? Do you need to get it? Do you need to make it to where your number, your phone number, your office number is textable? Or maybe you just get an additional number. Do you need to reach out to your CRM company, your platform, and find out what automation offerings they have? So what are the 3 things that you need to implement after being here today? Since we're rushed for time, I'm not going to ask you to share these, but let's talk about real quick. Let's finish up by talking about knowing and tracking your KPIs. So do you have tracking in place? Do you have call tracking in place? So if you're running Google ads, if you're running any kind of paid ads and you don't have call tracking in place, or you don't have some kind of tracking, if you're not going after phone calls, let's say you're retail or you're selling online, do you have sales tracking in place where, and I'm not just talking about, well, we know we spent $5,000 on ads and we know that we sold $9,000 worth of stuff this month. So, we kind of track it that way. I'm talking, do you have tracking in place with tools like CallRail or call tracking metrics that can tell you that this call came directly from this Google ad campaign? Because inside the ad campaign, there are multiple ad groups. And so some of those ad groups, some of those ads may be terrible and they never generate any calls, but you're still paying for them to get clicked on. And so you need to cut that off and move that budget to some of these ads in your Google ad campaign or your Facebook ad campaign that are actually generating phone calls. And so call tracking metrics or CallRail, or there's a plethora of other tools that can tell you this call came from Facebook. This call came from organic search. This call came from my Google business profile. This call came from my pay-per-click ads. And so I know that these 17 calls came from my ads, and I spent $1,000 last month. And those 17 calls turned into, they're all about $1,000 jobs. So off that $1,000 that I spent on my Google ads, I made $17,000, and I can track it, and I can have a report there that shows me that I did that. So if you don't have call tracking in place, my point is, get call tracking in place. You've got to. I would not run ads. I won't run ads for anyone without call tracking in place. Otherwise, I can't prove to you that it's doing anything. And you can't prove without call tracking that your ads are doing anything. Maybe you kind of feel it. Yeah, it seems like the phone's ringing more, but you can see the average cost per call generated. You've got a simple dashboard to measure your KPIs. You need and because what gets measured gets done. And so if we're going to have these goals, we're going to set these targets, we're going to set these financial targets. We've got to figure out what are the steps. What are we going to do? Is it going to be PPC? Is it going to be Google? Is it going to be Bing ads? Is it going to be Facebook ads? Is it going to be, we're just going to do organic search engine optimization? How are we going to measure that? We've got to look at Google Analytics. We've got to look at our call tracking metrics. We've got to figure out how much did we spend on marketing and how many phone calls did that get us? And how many of those phone calls turned into actual jobs? And so we've got to have at least that data set up. And there are free tools like Google Data Studio where you can set that up. You can watch a few YouTube videos and figure out how to set that up yourself. If you hire an agency, then they'll set that up for you, and you'll have a dashboard that you can look at and give you a report every month and show you that stuff. But so far, we've got our clear goals. We've got some clarity around our market and our message. We've made sure that our website's optimized for conversion. And then we've established that we need to set up a simple KPI tracking dashboard. So let's talk about a few trends here, and then we are going to land this plane here. So some of the trends in 2022. If you're a home service, the Google local service ads are pretty huge. In fact, right now, and we don't know that this will stay this way, and the local service ads, you'll see these show up in the Google results as Google guaranteed. But those local service ads, those are pay per lead. You pay per lead, and right now they're actually cheaper. They cost less than traditional Google pay per click ads. And so what I've seen several guys do pretty effectively, because you can turn those on and turn those off pretty quick, the local service ads. And so sometimes I see guys filling in the gaps with those local service ads. Now there's got to be background checks, and you've got to jump through some Google hoops to get that. But it's definitely worthwhile if your industry qualifies for Google local service ads. Like we mentioned earlier, shift from phone conversion to message conversion. So that's where the chat bot is a good option. The SMS texting is a good option. And then having that all in perspective, that not putting your eggs in one basket. Just Google ads really aren't going to do it for you. Just relying on social media is not going to just do it for you. There's got to be a mix of search engine optimization. So you're getting some organic leads. There's got to be some pay-per-click and some local service ads, if that's an option, in social media. So it's all working together, letting the people know that you are on top of it. Just real quick, what are Google local services? You can see those right there. Those are those Google guaranteed ads. And you'll see that Google guaranteed highlighted, and that's a lot of times for plumbers and electricians. And not every Not every industry is allowed to do that in every area. Google's kind of rolled it out slow, but it's pretty much everywhere now. And for most home service industries, you can get a Google tracked number inside of your Google business profile. And what we really want to see happen here is that you are just dominating the search results, that you're showing up in the local service ads, that you're showing up in the AdWords or Google Ads, you're showing up in the Google My Business results, and you're showing up in the organic results. And so if someone comes here and they see you there, and they see you there, and they see you there, and they see you there in these 4 spots, you're taking up that much real estate on Google, then they're thinking, dang, I think I'm going to go with them. If you're interested in local service, Google local services, like I said, there's an application and they're going to do some background checks. You'll pay per lead basis and somewhere between $25, $45 per lead, but those prices are going to, it varies by city and industry, but they are right now lower cost lead per lead than pay-per-click, and higher quality leads than from Home Advisor. We do hear that a good bit. Still get some price shoppers, and you do have to follow up quickly. If you don't follow up quickly and you don't follow up at all, Google's going to stop sending the leads to you. But we are seeing, and the jury was out for a little bit, but we're seeing a pretty solid return on the investment for most of the clients who have jumped on board. So you can go there to sign up and complete your background checks and all that. So your plan for 2022 is to jump all over this and dominate with your local business. And we're going to give you this graphic here in just a second. And we're going to give you this checklist, this checklist.socialspheremedia.com. These are our bonuses for you guys who have stayed to the end. We're going to, let's just hit this real quick and wrap things up. Here's what we've covered. We've set our goals for 2022 and how many leads you're going to need to hit your targets. The 3 fundamentals of marketing success, we talked about that, and how to optimize your website for conversion. The big picture of all the online marketing channels that you should be tapping into to maximize your lead flow. And that's going back to this right here. Maybe you need to get in on Angie's List. Maybe you need to start running some YouTube ads. Maybe Home Advisor is good for you. But local service ads are potentially going to be better. Facebook ads, it may be time to get in on the Facebook ads. It may be time to do some gift cards and put some offers out there. The latest trends, we talked about the latest trends, and then we talked about your custom action plan, where you are now and what it is that you need to do now. What do you need to add to your website to convert, to start converting? Is it the chat? What channels are you not on that you need to get on? If you've just had all your eggs in the PPC basket, maybe it's probably time to start exploring some search engine optimization. And so what you can do, you can go to click on this link, and that's going to get you, again, that's going to get you this graphic here. That'll get you our online domination chart there, and you can dig into that and kind of start with number 1 and work your way all the way around number 8. If you need any help with that, my number's on there. You can certainly reach out, but I think this is something that would be worthwhile to download just so you can have that. And then we've created an online marketing checklist for you that you can download, and it'll take you through paid online marketing. It'll take you through things that you need to check on social media. It'll take you through your marketing automation. It takes you through, it's a checklist for your Google Analytics, your keyword tracking, your website optimization. And there's so much that we think that you can do on your own without hiring someone like us to make sure that that in 2022, that you just crush it with your online marketing. There's a lot you can do. If you watch some YouTube videos, you watch webinars like this, and you take the information, take this workbook and really work through it. You can crush this and do a lot of this on your own without having to spend a dime on guys like me. And if you do want to talk to me, you can click on socialsphere.link/discovery, or you can call me. And I'm happy to consult with you, happy to talk to you about what we have to offer, and would love to just learn more about your business and answer any questions you have. I won't take you through a 5 million slide presentation or anything like that. I will just answer what questions you have. But I really, truly believe that if you will set those targets, if you'll set those goals, and you will think through what we've talked about today with your ideal client, and use the worksheet and really figure out how many leads you need to get, how many calls you need to get, what's the average conversion rate. If you'll do that homework and do that stuff, then that gets you headed in the right direction. And then you start figuring out what needs to happen on your website, what needs to happen on social media, what needs to happen on all of these platforms, and with our messaging to get to the right people so that they convert into clients. There's so much that you can do on your own for free. It just takes a little bit of time, carving out some time in your week to work on your business instead of in your business. And so maybe it's you carve out 30 minutes every Thursday afternoon to work on some of this. And I think you will start crushing the competition by leaps and bounds, just doing some of that on your own. I truly believe that. So again, it's 3:30. I want to wrap this up. Thank you again so much for being here. Happy Giving Tuesday. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks so much for sticking with us. God bless you. And